this guy's a drag peeler. Alright. That was a battle. This one was feisty. I think this is a big one. Man, this is either a giant or I've got him hooked funny. I don't know which. 28.15.
Nice.
29, I'd say.
29.
I want to do a gear rundown for my fall salmon fishing. The self-challenge for this video is, can a guy with basic equipment, without sinking a ton of money into it, catch 4-year-old king salmon in the fall and do it out of a kayak? This is a very basic setup. Can you do it? How would you do it? Well, I've been doing it for 15 years and we catch a lot of them. So it's not really a self-challenge for me. Yes, I know I can do it, and I know I can do it on limited gear, limited equipment, on a low budget, and catch giant fish and have fun doing it. Can you do it? I'm going to show you how. I'm sure you can. So, in order to keep this concise, it's a huge topic. There are many ways you can catch salmon. You can get into downriggers and torpedo weights and flasher flies, and it would boggle your mind, the various ways and equipment that you can get into to catch these things. In order to keep it concise, I'm going to narrow down the time frame. The king salmon return, at least where I go in central Wisconsin on Lake Michigan, they start like September 1st and go through September 15th. That's been my finding anyway. It probably starts a little earlier than that, extends a little later than that, but for us, over the years we've honed in on a time frame that has always worked for us, and that is approximately September 7th through September 14th. When you're there at that time, the salmon have returned back shallow to where they were placed as fry. They are easy to catch, they're accessible, they're in 45 feet or less. In our case, most often they're in 15 to 30. And you don't need any special gear to do that. I am going to show you how right now. Let's start out by talking about rods, line, terminal tackle. Everybody's always interested in that question. The first several years I did that, this is an old Falcon graphite rod that I used to use bass fishing. It's 7.3, I think. Yeah. And it is, I used to use it for cranking when there was a lot of weeds and heavy cover, so that I could feel that coming. I could feel my line bump that stuff. So I needed a little more sensitivity than what I could get out of a graphite composite crankbait rod. See the bend on that? It's a very parabolic bend. It's not a fast tip. And I found that this would troll crankbaits very well and get a maximum depth out of them. When you get the right trolling speed, this whole thing shakes. It has a cadence to it. You just know it's right just by looking at it. Over the years, I bought one of these Okuma salmon rods. Oddly enough, not for salmon fishing. I bought it for trolling muskies because I needed something fiberglass that when they would hit it, they wouldn't destroy it. And this would take all the shot. This is an Okuma Classic Pro GLT Salmon. Like I say, I did not buy this because it said salmon on it. I wanted to use it for muskie. To me it was too soft for muskie. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it for actually salmon fishing. Absolutely loved it. These are $35 on Amazon. watch for them on sale, 35, 40 bucks tops. They're cheap. They've got a beautiful parabolic bend to them. It looks thick, but remember this is fiberglass. It's actually pretty flexible, and it works great. Again, when you get your speed right and the lure right and tuned, the whole rod gets a cadence, you know, like right from here all the way to the tip, and you just know you got it right. And I catch a lot of fish doing that. So that's the rods. I love these rods. I went out and bought a second one once I found out how good it works for actually salmon fishing like it says. Reels. You've probably heard, oh, you need a line counter reel. You need a great big deep sea reel. No, you don't. This has the same pounds of drag on it. This is a Daiwa Tatula that I wore out bass fishing. It won't cast as well anymore, so I don't like it for that. But it's for bass fishing, so the drag was like brand new. You don't need to cast doing this. You're just letting out line and trolling and reeling them in. So I took two reels, two Tatulas that didn't work for bass fishing anymore, and turned them into salmon reels, and they work great. They have 11 pounds of drag, and I looked at bigger reels more specifically for salmon fishing. Guess what? They have 11 pounds of drag, sometimes 12. These work great. They didn't cost me a thing. Line. I use Power Pro, 30-pound test braid, Power Pro. Cheap Power Pro. It works great. I don't care that it sounds like rope coming through the guides because I'm trolling. And it's strong. And if I get spooled, which can always happen doing this, it's cheap to replace it and refill it. Now I run that down to a 20-pound Seagar fluorocarbon leader. Whoop, there it goes. 20 pound. The last 6 feet is 20-pound test fluorocarbon. I tried tying line to line, which I always do for bass fishing, pike fishing, even some musky fishing. I didn't like it. I don't like the knot to knot strength. These things will test your equipment from stem to stern. If there's a weak link, they will find it. They are very, very strong. So what I decided to go to is a barrel swivel. It needs to be heavier, at least equal strength to your 30-pound braid, or heavier. But the real key for me is that it's small enough to, watch this, it's small enough to fit through that last guide. The reason for that is when I get a fish on one of the rods, the first thing I do is pick that rod up out of the holder like this, back off a little on the drag, keep the kayak going straight while I reel in, and the fish is going to be screaming out drag at that point. You'll have time, usually, to reel in the other rod, and that barrel swivel can go right in the end, and the lure can reel right up to the tip of the other rod. Now it's out of the way and out of the water, and the fish that you have on that's going to be an epic battle now will not get tangled up in that other rod. That is critically important. You'll have a mess, and sometimes you'll lose a fish because it's tangled in the other one. So that's why I use a barrel swivel small enough to fit through that end guide. The barrel swivel, I tie a Palomar knot on the braid to the barrel swivel, and I tie a single uni on the other side on my fluorocarbon line. That is the strongest knot that I have found. You could go into arguments on this knot, that knot, the other knot. Bottom line is they do not break that knot, and there's a lot of pressure on when you get a king salmon on. You tie whatever knot you like, that works. I can tell you that works. And I bring it down to a snap that's minimum 30 pound. These are VMC snap light. I like these on crankbaits. They don't interfere with the action of the crankbait because they're so small. I tried them this year for salmon. They worked great. I don't like them. They're too small for my old fat fingers to quickly change lures. I'm going to go back to probably a Spro, more of a traditional crankbait snap. But that is line and hardware down to the lure. For lures, over the years we've tried lots of different things. Lots and lots of different things. For a long time, this flicker shad was my favorite. Probably the first 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And this blue tiger was probably my favorite if the water was clear. If the water was cloudy, like you're in the harbor and you can't get out, then that one was good. One of the problems with them, when they get in the net, they thrash around. It's a 20 to 30 pound fish, and they bust these little tails off. When this gets hooked in the net, they bust the tails off. So I went through a lot of these, but they worked, so I kept using them. Over the years, we stumbled onto basically 3 lures that work every day, all the time, without fail. So this is going to save you a ton of time if you want to go out there and get into fish. This is a Bandit walleye deep diver. The color is called Super Glow. It does glow in the dark. It works great in that hour and a half pre-dawn that we're out there. We hook up a lot of fish in the dark. But guess what? When the sun comes up, they still smash the daylights out of this thing all day long. You have one tied on until you prove that it is not working anymore after the sun comes up. 2 days this week, we caught them all day on these, and that is what they wanted. It wasn't a secondary choice by any means. The second lure, and this is not in order of preference, the second lure that always works is this Thunderstick Deep Diver. The color is luminous green. That also glows in the dark, but still works all day long, all day, every day. This one has a little bit wider wobble than the Bandit Walleye Deep. This color works sometimes. That's not my top 3, but that's a good color. The other lure that works day in, day out is this big reef runner. That color is called Chartreuse Zebra. Works amazingly well. I can't tell you how many king salmon I've caught on this over the years just trolling it. So those are the 3 lures. If you just get yourself a handful of those, I promise you, you'll catch fish. Now, how to troll them? Remember I said you don't need a line counter? I had people ask me, well, how do you know how much line do you have back? Well, it doesn't matter. It's not that critical when you're not running downriggers and torpedo weights and all that stuff. We are just straight line trolling these. Hook the crankbait on, put it out behind the kayak, and pedal. It's that simple. We hook the lure on. The kayak is, mine is, 12 feet long. In the harbor, I run 2 kayak lengths back. So I'm 24 feet plus the 6-foot leader, 30 feet back. That's all it takes. And then run 1.7 to 2.2 miles an hour, anywhere in there, and they're happy. They will hit it. If you're coming from the Midwest and going out there to fish, you have a mindset, well, the bass are this deep, I need to get my lures that deep. The walleye are this deep, my lures have to be that deep. You don't need to do that with a king salmon. If you're fishing over 35 feet of water and your lures are 20 feet down, he only has to move 10 feet to hit that lure. If a king salmon couldn't move 10 feet to hit a lure, he'd starve to death. That is nothing for them. They spend their whole life swimming. They're not ambush fish, they're wolf pack hunters. They're constantly on the move. It is nothing for them to come up 10, 15, 20 feet to hit a lure. And they do it all, I promise you, they do it all the time. And when we get outside the harbor in a little bit deeper water, then we'll go 3 kayak lengths back, or 4, sometimes 5. Typically 3. I'll have one rod at 3 and one at 4 until I'll have one show me which one is better on that day. But yeah, it's that simple. Don't overthink it. How successful can you be doing something like this? We just got back, and I'm going to show you a bunch of footage from that trip. We caught, between my friend and I, an even 40 fish, 40 kings. I had 16 and he stomped me this year. He had 24. We fished half day Saturday, and then we fished full days through Thursday. 40 king salmon. The biggest one I had was 29 pounds. That's a big king. Had 2 at 24, a lot of 18 to 20 pound fish. There is nothing else like it. If you want to give this a try, it's cheap and easy. Hook up your kayak, get the stuff that I just showed you, get a rod that'll work, and head out there. I want to talk about a few more things you might want for equipment. You don't necessarily need it if you're going to keep fish like we do and enjoy them, eating them throughout the year. Fish cooler bag. I put 10 pounds of cube ice in here, slide the fish in as I catch them. I can easily fit 3 normal size kings in there. The 29 pounder, he didn't want to go in there. Net. So I actually lost my net, or it got stolen midway through this trip. You might hear me complaining about that in some of the video that I'll show you later. So I went to Walmart and got this one. You want something almost musky sized, but you don't want musky depth. You know, musky rod's gonna have, that much fabric under it. When you're out bouncing around in the waves, trying to work on a fish, they're too heavy to bring in with you for the most part. So you're working on them over the side of the boat. You don't want them 4 feet down. Right? This net actually worked really well for me. It's a little flexy. I didn't spend a ton of money on this, but if you don't try to just lift a 29 pounder like that, you're going to be fine. Basically what I'm doing is pulling this up like this so I can get at the fish and work on them and get the hooks out of their face, slice through their gills and into under the gills there, that fleshy area that goes through there because we bleed them. Yeah, that's what you want, something not too deep. And this one extends out so you can get under them. It's a pretty good net for what, something like that. I'm not going to say it has to be this one because there are better quality ones out there, but something shaped like that is what you want. Should have a locator. It's nice to be able to see when you're around salmon. You can use side scan. This is a Garmin 93SV. You can use side scan to see if they're off to the sides and swing back around over to where they are. Or you can use your DI or whatever. It's good to have this so you know that you're around fish. Rod holders. There are probably a lot of rod holders out there that you can use. This is the Scotty Power Lock. You can lock your rod in. We don't do that. No one I know that uses these like we are for salmon fishing actually locks the rod in, but you could if you wanted. We just let it sit in there. But you need the extension if you're pedaling, which I recommend. I don't think you could paddle and do this. you're going 1.7 to 2.2 and trying to maintain a certain speed, I think you need a pedal kayak. So you need room under this for pedaling. That's why we add the extension. This is a Scotty A459, I think. It's a, they call it a 6.5 inch extension, 6.5 from here to here. It ends up extending your rod up about 11 inches above where it normally would sit in the holder, which gives you room here to pedal. Grips. I recommend a sturdy pair of grips. These are like $5 at Fleet Farm. When you're working on the fish in that net, if you can get this around his jaw and lift up, it frees up your hands a little bit to get in there with the pliers and get the hooks out of them, and like I say, cut the gills and bleed them. Very helpful. Dangerous out in the waves. You better have one of these. I would point out, when you're bleeding them, point their head the other way. It'll shoot 4 feet out. And the stuff's like glue. That may never come off of there. Pliers, big fish, big mouth. Sometimes the lures are all the way in. You want something, you know, that you would use on muskie. This is my pliers I normally use for muskie fishing. Works great. Lights. Like I said, we fish in the dark. Sometimes as much as an hour and a half before daylight. This is extensions from 2 different light units. I had one go out on me, but then I just robbed an extra extension to get this higher up. You want to be seen. There's charter boats, there are just recreation trolling boats, there's a dozen other kayakers out there, there's sailboaters. You want to be seen. Get a good light that you can trust and count on. There's my front light. I built a post that comes out of the Hobie sail mast. I tighten this and it expands down in here, and that gets this up above the gunnel so it can be seen from both directions. You definitely want to be seen out there. So that's the quick gear rundown. There are probably things I forgot to mention. I tried to get it all, at least an overview, so if you want, you can go out and do this for a very low amount of money. People will tell us, you can't do that without downriggers. How did we catch 40 fish in 4.5, 5 days? You can do this. It's easy, and there is nothing else like it. I told you the time frame, the lures to use, the gear to use. Can you go nuts on it and spend more? Sure. Knock yourself out. Do you need to? Nope. Alright, let's look at some video and get you guys all excited about it.
And setting up a custodial account will kickstart their success.
Well, we made it to Lake Michigan. It's a long drive from northwestern Minnesota. 9-hour drive, but we're on the water. From reports, it's been a little slow. They're not quite in yet, but we're here for 6 days and we should hit it right. Hook job. Oh yeah. That's a nice fish. He ain't done yet. I think we're getting close though. We're winning. Not bad though. We've been trolling probably not even an hour. Yes! On the board, man. We are on the board. That guy, huh? What a way to start the trip. That's what we're looking for. I can quite often get those to bite. Fish on! Still peel and drag. Better follow this one. Alright, let's get some lines out. So we can catch another one on this 15% fishing rate day. Oh, here we go. Fish on. Gotta scramble to get the other line in. Otherwise you have a terrible mess on your hands. While they peel and drag, you can get the line in on the other side. Got it. Alright. Game on. There. I'm saying that's a 4-year-old. It's turning darker. It's a king. It's not a coho. Kind of weird. I suppose, like people, got big people, little people. See the blood? I was going to mention, if you're going to keep them, you go in right here and slice crossways through that lump of stuff that connects all the gills, and then they bleed out and the meat is better. Takes a while though. Your heart only pumps once every several seconds. Alright, let's get some lines out and try this again. So every once in a while you see me do this. There's a reason I do that. Time for a funny story minute. So one evening we were catching fish about as fast as you could get a line out. You couldn't even get your second rod out. It was right at dusk and the first one would be loaded up. I can't see well in low light. So I got one rod out and I'm getting the other one out. The first one loads up. So I get it out of the holder and I got no drag. This fish is pulling like mad. Zero drag. And like, whoa, with the drag. Like, why don't I have any drag? I don't have any drag. Well, I'm doing that, trying to figure out why I don't have any drag. These are 2-piece rods. The end section of the rod shoots out. Then I realize in that instant, the braid had gotten wrapped around the tip, the last on the rod tip guide, and it couldn't pull any drag out. And it pulled the end of the rod right out, the other section of the rod. So I see it shooting away from me. Down into the water it goes, and I'm trying to fight a king salmon now with nothing but the butt section of the rod, and hoping like heck the line doesn't break, because then I lose the other part of my rod. And in actual blessing, that fish came loose, and I reeled it all back and got it all back. But yeah, it was complete pandemonium and chaos for a few seconds. So now, every once in a while, especially after I first put out the rods, I just pull on the line a little bit, because if it's tangled, you can't pull it, it won't slide through like that. And then you know that everything's good to go. So, that's funny story minute for the day. Looks like Scotty's hooked up. Let's go see. Oh yeah, that is a good one. Hooked up again, trying to stay hooked up this time. That's 4 hits now since I got out, not counting the 2 that I had on. 4 more hits. There we go. There we go. Now we got one hooked up. If it stays hooked up, I get the other rod in, or you have a big mess. Turn and follow this guy a little. He got to look at me and didn't like what he saw. I get that a lot. You hear that drag screaming? Keep the bow of the kayak pointed toward the fight, you become an integral part of the drag system. That's why I'm always reaching down with my right hand and moving the rudder. Oh, he reached the surface. Did you see that? No, right in the mouth. Don't jump in here with me. Another nice one. Probably didn't get the landing on that because the card got full. Alright. Unveiling of the secret weapons. Once you see them, it won't be a secret. We supercharge these glow lures, and these have been proven to be very effective in the pre-dawn hours. guy's a drag peeler. Haven't gotten a look at this one yet. Oh, there it just did. Let's get this up a little. Not bad. It's another big one. Got him. Alright. That was a battle. This one was feisty. Alright, I think this is a big one. I didn't turn the camera on right away because at first it didn't seem very big. Then he woke up. Now I can't really move him, can't lift him. And I don't have a net. Somehow we misplaced my net. I think we turned our back on it and it grew legs and somebody walked away with it.
You're in close, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, otherwise I'd pull line.
No, it's been a close fight the whole time.
Oh.
But I can't move him. I don't know if I hooked him by the dorsal or what, but I can't move him. Every time I gain a little, he pulls back more. He's either that big or I hooked him funny.
Well, let's hope it's that big, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've caught a lot of these things and never had one pull this hard. Oh, that's a big one. Come on, battery, keep holding up. Come on, battery, don't fail me now. Man, this is either a giant or I've got him hooked funny. I don't know which. I can't do anything with him. I don't know if I hooked him in a bad spot or he's just that big. I got a slight glimpse of a little... He ain't talking to me, is he?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Let him know if the fish goes his way.
Oh, okay. That's been a close fight. I don't think you have anything to worry about. But thank you. Holy cow. You were over there when I hooked up.
Really?
Yes. Yes. I'm like, oh, maybe he'll get around here. And here you are. And now you're waiting. I know. Haven't had an opportunity to use it on this one. Goodness gracious. I saw my barrel swivel once. Oh, like I can't even lift them. It's on your... Oh. All right, can we get all that in here even? Holy moly. Ugh. All right, here's the tear. Oh, now we got big rollers. 28.15.
Nice.
29, I'd say.
29.
Man, 29 pounds. That should work. Got the sun on our side for a change. Wow. 28.15, 29 pounds. Wow. And what a battle. That is the longest battle I've ever had.
Move the salmon, you see double echo.
Got luminous on one and super on the other. But I'm only going 2 back this time. Fool me twice, shame on me. One rod out. Yeah, they go out a lot quicker that way too. There are some salmon already, but they're bottom dwellers. All right. Self-challenge. Land a king salmon in the dark without a net. Yeah. Not by choice, mind you. An airhead misplaced his net somehow yesterday and it's gone forever. Someone else is enjoying my net this morning. Hooked up? Nice. Kind of wondering why you're doing donuts. Wow, there's a lot of kings here. Holy cow. Just need one to get angry enough to eat it. Zero for 2 so far. What's up with that? You just don't want to say hook. Don't say sharpen your hooks. They're scary sharp. There we go. There we go. Fish on. Fish on. Fish off. Oh, nope, he's still there. He just ran after me. Alright, take this other one in before we end up with a catastrophe. Let him run a little. Oh yeah. Hear that? Boy, that's a lot of line up there. There it comes. Alright. Time for a battle. Well, it sure would be nice if we get into some cohos like we did last year. Those buggers are good eating. Well, at least I don't have to try to land one in the dark without a net. We're doing circles. Trying to keep the kayak pointed at him. Makes for less drama with the line getting hooked in the rudder or the fins. You can kind of control where that fish is at instead of crossing over underneath of you. Put your rod forward like that and let them pull. And we'll bring the bow around. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. Okay, he's decided he wanted to go that way again. Some more line. One step up, 2 steps back. Success. He didn't want to open up very bad. Any more or just the one?
Yeah.
Catch any more?
Last one right over here. Same thing. I'm not get right on the rock over and came out.
Yeah, I had 2 of those.
Just hammered it.
How do they not hook up?
Too much aggression.
Oh. Big old hen. Look at the belly on that one. Waiting to drop some eggs. Okay. That help? I don't know until I edit and go back. Looks like it should help. Beautiful morning. It's supposed to rain though. Have to get into that front hatch if it does. My raincoat is in there. A little bit of congestion out here, so I'm going to turn the light around. You can see where I'm going a little. Probably not good for video. Started off with a bang, but no bites since. That's a full lap right there. Oh, there we go. There we go. Let's get a replay here. Back that off just a pinch. Too much. Oh, he's on. He's on. He's on. He's coming at me. Boy, it's hard to tell at that point. They can swim faster than I can reel. All right, we are fish on. He's taking a lot more line from me than I brought back. Oh, now he's running at me again. There he goes. He's running your way. Get into that other guy's line. I'm thumbing it, hoping he doesn't break it. on the spool, you can add drag. You gotta be careful. One time I burnt and blistered my thumb trying to stop one from getting into another boat. Now it's in the net. Small one. Ooh, nice and bright. You come on, hook. Yes. How cool is that? Alright. Yeah, it's a good looking fish. What an idiot. What an idiot. All I had to do was let go of the fish. Look at this. I am my own worst enemy. They're breaching all over in this area, heading right into them. There we go. Hooked up. Hopefully this one stays on. Kind of precarious now. I've backed off on the drag more so I don't open up those soft hooks. And then sometimes you can't keep enough pressure on them to keep the hooks in, so it's kind of a delicate balance.
You real far out?
No, it's right there.
Turn a little bit just in case.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
You hooked again? That's awesome. Hope these two don't decide to go the same direction.
This didn't look like a big fish.
Hope this trolling boat doesn't think I'm going to get out of his way. Kind of got my hands full.
Got one on?
Yeah, sorry, I can't
I'll stay out of your way.
can't do much with him. It's close in.
I see.
We almost won this one.
What did it hit on? Spoon?
Crankbait, walleye bandit, deep diver, and super glow.
Got one.
That's the second one on that. What a gorgeous morning for the last day of our trip. The wind hasn't always been nice to us, but that's always the case. There's a breach. But the weather has been just beautiful. I got about 3 raindrops on me yesterday morning. Not even enough to pull out the rain suit. It's like, when's it gonna rain? Oh, done already. Perfect. These things will test your equipment from one end all the way to the other. And you will find the weak links in short order.